There, thank you, welcome. So this is, technically, this is the first ELA office hour of the 2020-21 school year. Whew, what a fabulous start to a school year. Momentous, I will say. And so welcome, I'm really happy to see everyone who's here with us today. And I think that the way we're gonna do this year is start with an exercise about well-being and mindfulness and taking care of ourselves. And so Patty Forster did an exercise with us during some stuff we were doing this summer and was asked to please do that again because that went really well. And so I'm going to turn it over and ask Patty to take it away, if you will. Patty, I don't need to give you any kind of sharing.
No, I'm not gonna share
Okay.
anything.
Okay, great.
Okay, so several years ago, we watched this video called Happiness 101, and it was by this professor from Harvard who started the first class called The Psychology of Happiness, and it became the most popular class at Harvard. His name is Tal Ben-Shahar, and this video, Happiness 101, can be found on Netflix or even on YouTube now. But he talked in there about gratitude and the power it has to help us be happy. It's one of the top things that can help you be happy. So at that time, my wife and I started to every night say what we were grateful for. And not just grateful for, like, I'm grateful for my mom, but be very specific. I'm grateful that my mom and I stay connected with FaceTime and do stretching exercises together every day. That's very specific versus just I'm grateful for her. So it's an important practice. And we have a quote by Tal Ben-Shahar on our wall at home that says, if you appreciate the good appreciates. And so it's really important, I think, right now to think about what we're grateful for in the midst of this stress, to try to balance things out. So an interesting thing, just last week, I saw a video by Daniel Pink, the writer of Drive, and he wrote about motivation, and has other books too. And he shared this video talking about gratitude and suggesting that every time we wash our hands, we tell ourselves 3 to 5 things we're grateful for. So instead of the ABCs or the happy birthday song, think about things that you are grateful for and be very specific, because we are washing our hands a lot right now. And that gives us a lot of opportunity to balance the stress with positive feelings. So what we did before is we had each person actually share. We went into breakout groups, but we're such a small group that I think that we could do it right here together if you guys are okay with that. But also, can you thumbs up if you're okay with being recorded? Because we're being recorded. I'm gonna just guess that Heather said, oh, there's a thumbs up. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna call on people. So give you a little thinking time. Think about some things that you're grateful for. And we're gonna do this passing thing. So I'm gonna call on somebody. They're gonna share 2 or 3 things they're grateful for, and then call on someone else until we've gone around this whole Zoom room. So I already talked about my mom. I'm really grateful that I have no more cancer on my face. I'm also grateful for the fact that we have masks so that no one has to see my scar healing as it heals. And I'm grateful for this silly cat that always gets in my way when I'm on the computer. So I cheated and I did 4, counting my mom. But how about Beth? How about you?
Hello. Some things I am grateful for. I'm really grateful that, of course, I'm going to go to the school world. We're here in the DOE meeting. I'm really grateful my school district decided to start remotely just for a couple weeks. The kids have been really eager and excited and engaged online, which this spring it was like pulling teeth to get them to talk. So I'm really grateful for how the school year started in a positive way with kids. I'm really grateful that I live in such a beautiful place. I live in Bar Harbor, and I have all access to all of the beautiful Acadia National Park hiking trails, and just every day I'm just grateful that I live here and that kind of helps me get through this challenging time in history. And then The third thing I'm grateful for is my family, and we have dinner together every night, and we share about our days. And even though a lot of it this summer and spring we're together for, it's still a really nice experience to have them to experience all of this with. I just repeated myself, but anyways, there are my three things.
Wonderful. Thank you. Could you pass to someone else?
Yes, I will pass to Carrie.
I knew you were going to pass to me. I felt it. But I actually willed it too, because I wanted to say to you that my sister and brother-in-law, niece and nephew, live in Bar Harbor. Did you know that already?
No. Who's your family?
Yeah, and my niece goes to MDI High School.
Awesome.
And my nephew graduated a couple years ago.
So you're familiar with this beautiful place.
Yes, I've been there many, many, many times. So I'm also grateful. I'll just say that I'm grateful for my family, those people that we were just talking about, especially my niece, because we have a really special connection, and she is a big reader and writer, and just a really cool kid, and she's passionate about a lot of things, and she's just neat. And I don't have kids of my own, and so I extra appreciate having her in my life. I almost got emotional. What are you doing, Patty? Bless. Anyway, I'm also grateful for every morning walking my dog. That's the first thing I do after I take my husband to work. And that's a nice time that I have. And I'm also grateful for my tomato plant that is still trying. It's turning yellow, but it's still trying. And it's the first time I've ever successfully grown tomatoes. And I'll pass then now to Heather.
Okay. Well, I have to start by saying I'm grateful for my dogs who amuse us and are always a bright spot, even if they're annoying. They're annoying me right now down on the floor because they want the attention now that I'm home. We have 2 labs, and one is 13 and the other is maybe 10 or maybe 11. We aren't sure. She didn't come with a birth date. So they're a lot of fun. We walk them in the morning. They get us up at 4:30, 5 o'clock. Good alarm clocks. I am grateful for my family. Right now, I'm especially grateful for my husband. I did something to my back, and he is being very patient with me as I creak out of bed in the morning, or I can't do all the things that I'm usually doing because I'm moving at the pace of a turtle. And I'm also grateful for my colleagues and community members, and today specifically for my student Rhiannon, who are all coming together to support me in the DOE Teacher of the Year visit next week. And Rhiannon she's a senior, she was in school today helping the freshmen, and didn't hesitate when I asked her if she would lead the visitors on a school tour next week. So I'm grateful for her. And I will pass to Jason.
I don't know. Is he there? Oh.
Run a couple errands on my way home and just got in late. So I'm making some tea and just chilling out and listening to the things that people are grateful for, So yeah, it's been a crazy week at school, a couple of weeks at school back with the kids and everything, but I'd have to say that I am grateful for the people I work with, directly, especially. I have some really nice colleagues that we are on a team, and we've been together, and that's been really good. I'm thankful for my city of Portland. I love Portland. I love everything about it, and I love the fact that I can ride my bike, and I'm downtown in just a few minutes. So I mean, there's a lot of cool things about it. So, and just being able to be active and kind of do some yoga after I finish up with you folks. So I'm not sure who went and who who didn't go, so I don't know who I should pass it to, but
Raise your hand. If you haven't gone, raise your hand.
just to get, there we go, gallery view. So I will pass it to Kim.
Can you hear me? Because I wasn't working before. Okay, so I'm grateful because I live in Aroostook County and it is open and spacious and beautiful. And when I went on my morning run this morning, the sunrise was incredible. I have never seen the sun so big and so vibrant, and it was just breathtaking. My husband and I and our kids grew our first garden in the 20 years that we've lived here in our home. And I have harvested to date almost 500 cucumbers this season. So I have, out of 8 plants, we had 500 cucumbers. So I have learned how to pickle and relish and pickle some more. So I am thankful for kind of tapping into that side of me I never thought that I'd find. And last night, my mother, who is currently a minister, but was a teacher before she became a minister, brought me supper on a Monday and said, honey, I remember. And so it was salmon loaf with spinach on the inside. And so it was just such a great treat. So those are some things that I'm really thankful for. And I'll pass to Kristen.
Hi, everyone. It's Kristen. I'm grateful for technology for a few reasons. Number one, it allows me to work while I'm at my son's soccer practice, which I'm doing right now. Technology also helps save us a lot of time. I'm able to work with students and teachers and colleagues all over the city and all over the state every day based on meetings that I'm able to go to through technology. So I'm really appreciative of that. And I'm grateful that technology has allowed us to save some money, over the last 6 months. My husband's been able to work from home. Our schedules and our times have been greatly reduced. So it's really allowed us to slow down. So I've really appreciated that.
And Kristen logged out there with her volume, I see. So how about I'll just pick Amy.
Okay. Am I the last one, or is there anyone else left?
No, if you want to call on Morgan, we could let her go.
Oh, okay. I have had a lot of time to think about what I'm grateful for, so I have a long list. I won't give you all of them. I am grateful to be home. I am working full-time remotely with full-time remote students. I'm not sure how many I have, but I've got all of them. And I am grateful for a couple of colleagues, one who always listens to me when I need to vent, and one who brought me candy last week, a bag of candy. And we talked, she was at the bottom of the steps, my porch steps, and I was at the top. And she told me what's going on at school. I'm in Bangor. And I'm also grateful for my assistant principal's sense of humor. Every email he sends, most of which don't apply to me at all because I'm not at school. But the sense of humor is always there, and it's kind of this wry sense of humor. And whether it's an email about a kid who we need to find because he was smoking in the bathroom, or a kid, or today it was about the wellness cookies that had been left by Chick-fil-A for teachers in the break room. I miss out on both of those things, but it's still nice to get his sense of humor and the tone that comes through in his emails.
Thank you.
Your turn, Morgan.
Well, I'm going to say, first of all, I'm very grateful that I was here and able to help my daughter solve a problem this morning and take care of my grandson. For me, it was an easy fix. But I was thinking about the fact that, 6 months ago, I would have been in Vesta at the time, and I wouldn't have been here to solve the problem. So I am grateful that I'm here and I have some flexibility and I'm able to get around. I was especially grateful thinking about helping my daughter and her family, because for the last, it's almost 3 months, my family has been taking care of me a lot. And, you know, I have all these grandsons who come over and they just jump in, dive in. They do anything that needs to be done, no matter what it is. And they do it, I'll say, joyfully and gratefully. You know, it's not like, we're going to grandmother to do this crap. You know, they come in and say, what do you have for me? What can I do? And I'm extremely grateful for that, because I really needed it. I'm also very grateful that in 2 weeks and 1 day minus 5 hours, I will hopefully be allowed to stand on 2 feet. And unless you've had to balance on one leg for several months, you cannot imagine just how important that is. So I'm very, very grateful that that time is coming, and I've had great physical therapists working with me that make me feel confident that when it comes, I'll be able to start walking again, because I very much look forward to that. I think there's a lot of things. I have so much to be grateful for. I agree with Patty. I think it would be good to have those moments each day when we stop and do that. I have a dear friend who is taking care of some folks who are very delicate. So we keep a close, tight bubble so that we can get together once a week. We have dinner, and then we watch, right now we're watching episodes of Mrs. America and talking about the ELA movement. But it's a nice ritual, just to look forward to something that's different and something that's ongoing. So, Patty, this is a nice, I think this is a nice ritual to develop. And I could see doing this in our classes when we have small groups of students, helping students to remember that they really do have things to be grateful for, even if we're just pressing them at first to think about one specific thing that they're grateful for. I think with kids it takes practice, probably with adults too, but it definitely takes some practice to identify the things that cause us some form of gratitude. Patty, do you have any other thoughts you want to share on gratitude practices?
Yeah, I actually had my kids do it at the beginning of class today, just in a Google survey. First, I just had them document like kind of their stress level, and then write 3 things that they were grateful for, and then their stress level again after, and all of them, their stress level went down when they stopped and wrote on the survey some things they're grateful for, because it was a hard day. It was their first day back with mask on all day and social distancing, and but I think I'm going to do it with my class every day as just a little start to class, a little way to help them think of the positives in a difficult year.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you. So speaking of the positives, I'm curious to know, have you solved any problems? Are you particularly proud of a problem you've solved? Or have you experienced a little win? Have you experienced a little win that's made you say, oh, yes, it worked? Is there something you'd like to share to give us all maybe some inspiration? Oh, Amy, tell us, please.
I've had the last few days, pretty much since Friday afternoon and until yesterday afternoon, were a lot of ups and downs, great joy and anger and relief and all kinds of things. One success I've had is that I have used Pear Deck twice, and it's been really, really engaging for my remote students, and participation is increasing and more kids are turning on their cameras. And I don't know, I feel like they appreciate that it's not just me talking, which I can't do as a teacher. just have it be me talking. The other really, really big thing is that it looked as though we, the remote teachers at Bangor High School, were going to have to stop using Zoom for our class sessions and start using Google Meet, which was not, that announcement was not met with, it was met with a lot of negative feelings. And I wrote an email over the weekend that apparently made the difference in terms of us being able to continue to use Zoom. I didn't realize that it had had that effect until yesterday afternoon, but it was a tremendous sense of relief after a lot of frustration and anger on Friday and Saturday. So I feel like I took a step. I was nervous about taking it. I was nervous about putting myself out there with administrators, but it worked. And I think it is a great thing.
Great, thank you. Anybody else have a solution to a problem or a little win to share? Kim.
So we're starting remotely in Caribou because our brand new school isn't quite ready, and our community is very upset by the fact that we're not in a building, and they tore the old ones down ahead of time. So we literally are homeless. And so it took me a while, but I have 50 students on my team, and I called every single parent and had a conversation with them about, how is it going on your end? What do you need from me? How can I help? Thank you. I appreciate all that you're doing. And it has been a game changer in my student engagement. So, making those connections with home. I always have a distribution list where I email parents frequently and regularly, kind of like newsletters. But this was like taking the time to make a phone call is probably something I'll continue to do the rest of my teaching careers at the beginning of the year, because it is impactful.
Great.
What grade level do you teach?
I teach 8th grade.
I have a non-school win.
Okay, let's hear it, Carrie.
Actually, here's a quick school win. I was really just going in circles about how to do attendance correctly and well in all my different cohorts, and the in-person and the out-person and the everything. And then I created, like a beautiful spreadsheet and made it all really super organized in the way that I wanted it to be, and that was nice. But my life breakthrough, and it was the biggest problem I've solved in 6 months, is that my dog quit eating her hard food. She just was like, no, sorry, I'm not eating this. And I think it could be related to teeth because she's kind of old, but still she didn't want to eat it. And it's really expensive, and we had a huge bag. And then there was one on the way from Amazon as well. So I was like, you are eating this food. So what I did was I soaked it in water, and then I added a can of pumpkin. Like I made a big bowl of it, soaked it in water, added a can of pumpkin, stuck it in the Cuisinart, and turned it into soft food. And she's totally obsessed with it now. And that was huge.
That is
Like,
huge. That is
yeah.
huge. I think that I lost my dog of 18 years in July, and for the last maybe 3 years, at least the last 2 years, I was making his food. I would buy whatever chicken was on sale, boil the life out of it till it was mush, and then mix it with pumpkin and sweet potatoes. I also boiled sweet potatoes till they were mushy. And I made that was his food, and I put a couple scoops, a couple times a day, and he just gobbled that right up. And then he would eat a little bit of the kibble here and there, more like treats. But boy, that kept him going. He lived to be 18, and it wasn't that hard to occasionally boil the life out of some food and make his mush. So I will say it's worth it. I'm not surprised I'm one of those people who made my dog's food. That's just how it is. But anyway, so would anybody else like to share a solution to a problem, or a little win, a big win, something that worked? Share these ideas.
I have a share for, oh, sorry. To build off of Kim's, you know, sometimes picking up the phone makes all the difference. You know, I feel like in today's world, people are being flooded with emails. And in my school, we have, you know, one tech person, and this is a very tech heavy, crazy time. And I just could not seem to get help for this one kid whose internet connection has not been good. And she has been struggling, and she's a struggling learner anyways. So I was really frustrated. And, you know, I picked up the phone and I called mom and I called the tech person, and we got her a hotspot today. So that was my win for today. Pick up that phone if you need to.
Woohoo! All right. That is a win. How about Jason?
There you go. I'm on the iPad, so it's a little different than the computer, getting used to the controls here. But I guess what I would say is that, you know, it's just every day seems like it's a new, I mean, things are starting to smooth out a little bit. I think the kids, at least I found, have been generally glad to be there. And there hasn't been a lot of mass confrontations. So that's been good. And I guess the thing for me is that I think the whole thing with the attendance of the kids that aren't there has been a bit of an issue. And I don't know where your districts all are with that, and it was kind of sprung on us at like last Thursday. So it's been kind of a challenge, but I think I feel like what I've been doing a good job of doing is just kind of plowing forward. And I think I tried to really go into this year with the idea that, you know, just get through each day. You know, you get to the end of the day, I go home, I do some sort of physical activity generally, and I play music, and, you know, and that can kind of get me through to the next day, you know? So I think that I've been really doing a good job of just kind of being able to refocus when I get home on things that make me happy, you know, and also kind of get me away from school, you know. But it certainly has been a challenge, but at the same time, it's been a challenge for everybody, you know. So just taking it one day at a time, and I've been keeping to that, and that's my win.
Truly, one day at a time is about all that we can do and plan right now. I will tell you, for me, of course, mobility is a major issue. I can't get out and go for a walk. I can't really go anywhere. The best I can do is get to the car and go for a drive. And so, you know, I've been thinking of reasons to get out and places to go, and just to leave my house and be someplace. And
Well,
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, Morgan, as I told you, and I emailed you when you told me, I mean, I was in the same situation last summer. I mean, it was almost, I don't know what day, it was June 16th when I fell down the stairs and broke my kneecap and spent the summer recovering. And also it being like, I was lucky that happened. You know, it could have been so much worse. But one thing I did gain from that is it certainly made me a lot more appreciative of being, when I was able to be active and be moving around again. It made me a lot more appreciative of the fact that, you know, it's easy to take mobility for granted when you're able to do it without thinking. And then when it gets taken away from you, you know, it can be a real life changer. So, I mean, you know, it sounds like you're on the right path, you know, to healing, and you just take it one victory at a time. And that's how you do it, you know? So you'll get there, you know, you'll be taking those walks, you know?
Well, I now, last Friday, I got my knee to bend to 120 degrees, so that was a major win. I've never been so aware of angles in my life. And a week ago last Saturday, I went down to Boothbay to spend the day with my dad, and he wanted to get out and go. Went for a ride, and things to see and stuff to do and all that, which was hilarious because my father is recovering from strokes, probably, you know, just keeps having these little mini strokes. So I'm out there with my crutches, you know, and my really stiff leg all wrapped up, and he's in a walker, and I'm trying to keep him balanced, and he's trying to stay out of my way. But we did it. The two of us got out and about, and I think we were both extremely grateful that we could get out. Boothbay was beautiful. It was Labor Day weekend, and we did it safely and had a lot of fun. So, you know, I think you have to be grateful for the small wins, grateful for the little victories for sure. Does anybody else have something they want to share? A win, an idea, a solution? I'll let you think about it, but I just want to fill you in on a few things. Right after this meeting, I'm going to meet with the board of directors of ELA, and we're going to talk about professional learning through this year. And I think that if I understand correctly, ELA's strategy is going to be providing support throughout the year, maybe in small bites, instead of you know, one big one. And I have shared, and we'll take a look at the survey that I asked you all to fill out, and the data I collected, and how I'm continuing to look at it. And you know, we'll see what ELA wants to do, and then I'll look at what I can do to support. There are some big ideas that have come through. Whether you're 100% in person or not, this idea of asynchronous learning or blended learning is, I think, on everybody's mind, and figuring out how to do it well remains a big question. And so that's definitely going to be a topic that we'll all have to address in one way or another. The updated standards, I continue to work on providing resources and updating our ELA website. I was working hard right before we started, and I'm sure this would be even more stuff in there. I'll send that with the update. But Dee and I have been talking a lot about when it would be appropriate to maybe do. See, our idea was in August, we were supposed to have a full day in-person session to roll out some stuff. So that didn't happen. We're trying to figure out what is the right timing to try and do something else to help support the updated standards. And there are some issues, you know, in the standards we need to address. Writing's a big one. Writing has changed dramatically, and I think some very good ways and very helpful ways. And this idea of blending and braiding standards and applying them to multiple content areas. So there's lots of good and timely topics to address related to rolling out the standards. But then there's just some real nuts and bolts kind of things that folks want to know. And I'll be looking for support with that, you know, where to get some resources or how to use some very specific kinds of resources. So I'm trying to very carefully plan what we offer for professional learning. And I'm holding off a little bit, thinking maybe we won't start anything till about October, because as all of you have said, the school year has gotten off to a kind of unusual and a very staggered start. I know a lot of schools are just beginning to see students in person and beginning to meet this week. I know that for all 7 of my grandchildren, they won't really be settled down into their regular routines until next week. And I figure it's much the same for teachers. So we need a little bit of time to settle in and get it figured out. For now, I'm going to hold ELA office hour at 4 o'clock on Tuesdays. We'll just see how that works out, and that can certainly be flexible. But I think that as we're settling in, that seems to be a good time. And I will probably send ELA updates on Wednesdays after this meeting, looking at what we need to feedback, you know, for feedback, and then getting you ready for what happens next week. So that's my plan. That's what I'm looking at. And sorry, I'm just going to take a look at the chat real quickly. Oh yeah, see, attendance. This attendance, this is a huge question. I appreciate that you're sharing some ideas on attendance. So if you're thinking during these Tuesday meetings, I'd like them to be fairly unstructured, but if there are some specific topics that you'd like to address, we can throw it out there as here's the question, you know, come to this with this question, these ideas. Sorry, I'm just looking at multiple screens here to see the things we have to address. I am starting to collect, so everybody said that they want support for well-being, for taking care of ourselves and our students. And so my plan is to start each of these meetings with some kind of an exercise, a practice, something that we can bring into ourselves and our professional practices, just to support our own well-being. So I'm starting a slide deck, which I will share with you, so that, you know, like on each slide, I'm trying to put a description of a wellness practice, so that if you need a quick go-to of someplace you can say, oops, you know what, today we're going to try this. And so I'd like to begin each of these sessions with that, with some kind of a wellness practice. Some of them will be really quick, like 1-minute exercises, and some of them may take the bulk of the time that we have together. I'll try to read the room, get a sense of what I'm hearing from feedback through the week. So with that, you know, are there any ideas? Anything to finish up and round out the discussion? So I'm just going to say, because this is being recorded, there's in the chat box, there's a discussion about attendance and one-word answers on a discussion board that's used in Schoology or some other learning management system. I know with us, we have to use, we work in Office. We at the state, we work in Office. And in Office, there's a forms document that's pretty easy to use, pretty accessible. I think, and we, before that, we did use Google Forms. They're all pretty easy. Carrie, maybe if your department is developing some grounding exercises, we can have you lead one with us to practice, you know, and model something that you're doing in your department for grounding exercises. I'm collecting them. I'm trying to collect and interpret. A lot of grounding exercises are designed for face-to-face, in-person events. So trying to figure out how to translate those to a virtual environment is where my focus is. But a lot of you, I know you are in school face-to-face, so we could do a blending of those. Yeah, I'm seeing in the chat a continued discussion about attendance. You know, it just had not occurred to me. That's huge. That's a huge issue. Doing that and keeping that.
I think what's been hard in our district is that they didn't, I really like our administrators and our administration. I'm very pleased with them. I think that they definitely get it, you know, and they have the right idea, but they just kind of sprung it on us on like last Thursday. Like, oh, by the way, you need to be taking attendance, all the kids at home. What? Like, so everybody's like in totally different places. So, but then of course, generally speaking, and this is a generalization, so I'm sorry about generalizing, but parents want stuff for kids to do, but they don't want stuff for kids to do at the same time, you know. And it's so, you know, you like yesterday I marked 7 kids absent because they didn't do what they were supposed to do, which whatever, but I got 6 emails, you know, like it's just like that kind of stuff, you know. So, but it is what it is. Just keep plowing forward one day at a time, and eventually I'll figure out the attendance. But I like the Google Meet idea. It's just that I have done that, but then I don't. It's like I find that those, when you do those whole class Google Meets, generally speaking, unless you're doing something synchronous, they kind of seem like, for me, like my experience with the 2 or 3 I've had, well, 2 or 3 times 4, so 10 to 12 I've had, have been kind of counterproductive. like what I'm trying to get out of them, I don't get, and it just becomes kind of like me talking to a bunch of people on the, you know what I mean? So, but something I'll figure out, just one of those things. So if I hadn't been able to plan it in advance, that would have been a lot, like I would have had a plan, to start. And now it's kind of like spending the first 5 minutes of each class reminding kids that they really need to be like, focused, and they really need to be doing this stuff when we say, and that's been the struggle, but it'll all work itself out, I'm sure.
Yeah, we're trying to develop new routines without knowing what the routines are we need to develop. Yeah.
And Jason, we haven't actually started that yet. This is how we've been told to do things. We just had 9th grade orientation the last 2 days, so we haven't had all the kids even back in the building yet. I mean, that was only like 75 kids one day and 100 the next, but Thursday, when we have in person again, we'll have half the kids, which is about 400 right now. And, I don't know exactly how it will go. And as far as how long the meet lasts, they've left it up to teachers. So, your kids who aren't at school that day and your fully remote kids, will be there to be counted. And we were told that it was a requirement of the state to have live attendance, and that's why they chose that route. And then teachers can decide to let those kids go afterwards and go about their work, or they can have the kids hang in to, experience like a 20-minute mini lesson, or, even longer. I think some teachers will require them to stay for the whole block. And I asked the principal, do we need to have some kind of, common expectations for the use of that time? And she really just wants to leave it up to people to do what they want.
I think an important thing that we all have to think about as we figure out how we'll do our attendance is training our kids, especially, for those of us who have kids in person, which I do, I have a majority of them, is figuring out a system that's super quick and easy, that gives them credit for being there, because I have kids that are present and they don't necessarily do their work, but that will work when we might all go remote, because a single COVID case at school will make us all go remote. So you got to figure out something that works with your current system, something that's fairly quick and easy, so you're not like looking around a Zoom room and counting all the people. And I think it's important to train them now with what's going to work best if we're all out of school.
And that's what they say, for me, it was just more like it would have been nice to have been able to plan it in advance so that I had a system going in, that whether it worked or not, at least I had a system. And now I kind of have to have a system on the fly. And that's what's been hard. But you're right, Patty. that's what they keep saying. If we go red, and it's certainly a consideration, because I'm sure if we do go red, we're going to be asked to do a lot more this year than we were last year in terms of content and things like that and expectations. So that's just the way it is. Hopefully we don't go red.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you all for coming today, and I want to thank Patty for leading our gratitude exercise at the top of the hour today. That was very helpful, and I'm with Carrie, made me get a little emotional. That's okay. And so I look forward to seeing you all in a week. I'm here. Send me emails and let me know what I can do. If you have ideas or specific needs. I'm never really too far from this spot, to tell you the truth. That's okay. I've gotten pretty happy with that. And I will send an update, I expect, tomorrow. And we'll talk a little bit, hopefully, about MCELA's plans as well. Because I think our professional organizations are really stepping up to support us in very different ways. And so we need to be tuning into that. I hope you have a fabulous first or second week back at school, and that you continue to smooth the bumps in this weird year. And I thank you all for coming. See you next time.